Just recently, the results of a survey, The Mental Health of the World in 2023, were published. This survey gives a perspective on the internet-enabled population in the world. The Dominican Republic is shown to be at the top of the list, beating out 70 other countries for having the best mental well-being. I wanted to share it because lately I have been wanting to start a series called How Moving Abroad or How Living Abroad Has Changed Me and Changed My Life. And this is one aspect that I wanted to talk about. In this series, I want to talk about different aspects of life in each video, so it's not just one big, long video. And in today's aspect, we are talking about mental health. Let's first go over the survey. In this survey, the US lands in 29th place, and the UK is in second to last place. The percentage of respondents who categorize themselves as distressed or struggling, as opposed to enduring, managing, succeeding, or thriving, was 19% in the Dominican Republic, versus 25% in the US and 35% in the UK. The dimensions for the assessment were mood and outlook, drive and motivation, cognition, social self, mind-body connection, and adaptability and resilience. DR had the highest scores for all of those, obviously making it in first place, except for mind-body connection, in which it took second place. One pattern that has continued over the past 4 years of this report is that many African and Latin American countries are in those top positions, while wealthier countries were near the bottom, suggesting that wealth doesn't necessarily lead to a higher mental well-being. The report claims that younger age of smartphone ownership and consumption of ultra-processed food are two major contributors to our mental health and well-being, both things that tend to be more common in wealthier countries. Among 18 to 24-year-olds, those who got their first smartphone at a younger age tended to have more mental health challenges as an adult. Additionally, over half of those who eat ultra-processed foods daily are categorizing themselves as distressed or struggling, compared to 18% of people who consume ultra-processed foods rarely. The third factor was relationships with family. Those who have diminished family bonds, which was the highest in core Anglosphere, so we're talking about the US, the UK, are at a greater risk of mental health challenges. I can definitely see how that plays into effect because family here is so big. In America, we may say, oh yeah, family is important, but it really comes down to that individualist versus collective society and what is more important. And here, I can definitely see how the collective is more important. People really value those family relationships and they spend lots of time with their family. The conclusion of the report is that economic metrics should not be the only thing we use to measure human progress and well-being. With the DR being ranked at the top and me living here for the greater part of the past 4 years, it definitely brought me to consider my own mental well-being. Overall, I would have to say that my mental health and mental well-being is in better shape here than it was previously living in the US, especially during college, which is the last time that I was full-time living in the US. In college, my mental well-being was just not great. I mean, I was fine by all respects. I was provided for, my dad provided for me. I'm so grateful for that. I had great friends. I was doing well in my classes. I can't say I was ever diagnosed with anything, like any mental health struggles, depression, anxiety, anything like that. Thank God. But I also have to say I am someone who only goes to the doctor when I'm sick, pretty much. When I say sick, I mean really sick. Like, I don't know how I will progress if I don't go to the doctor. So that's saying I don't have any diagnosis to say like, oh, this cured my depression or anything like that. But I can say that once I left college, my mindset sort of shifted. And while I was in the US for those few months before I moved to Honduras, I was preparing things to go, I was getting excited, and I sort of felt that, you know, life was on the up and up. In Honduras, I had a great time, I had lovely friends there, and then, you know, then 2020 happened, and I did move here during that, and this survey mentioned that a lot of countries, a lot of age groups took a dip during that period, and they expected them to start going up about now, but they are not going up, they're staying the same. Honestly, for me, I don't think my mental health was that affected by the events of 2020 and thereafter. And moving here, I think, was a big part of the reason. But one thing I did want to mention is that everything hasn't been perfect here. There was one time I went to the doctor for kind of like I couldn't take a full breath. And this was obviously during 2020, and that was one of the symptoms. So when I mentioned that to the person in charge of that stuff in the school, they were like, yeah, you should go to the doctor, get it checked out. And that was the most thorough doctor experience that I've ever had. They recommended all these x-rays and things, and this made me just so terrified, honestly. Like, I'd never gone to get all these x-rays and scans and things, and yeah, I think some people haven't even told all this, but it's because it didn't amount to anything. Like, I had a feeling, I was like, I don't think anything's going to come up, because I tried to explain, like, no, this has happened before. It's not just something that started now. It sort of came and went. So I went to the doctor for that. I got all these x-rays. I went to all these places. I got the results, and then I took them to the doctor again, and she looked at them and she was like, oh yeah, like there's nothing wrong. And I was like, yeah, I kind of figured that would happen, or at least I hoped. And the director of the school suggested like it might be an anxiety or something like that, which was definitely possible. I mean, I was in a new situation, but I never really got closure on that. And I can't say it's something that just went away entirely. In the past year or so, it definitely has been less noticeable, but there has been times where I'm like, okay, let me just like move my body, like move my arms, try to get a full breath, because it's a very uncomfortable feeling. Actually, as a result of going to all the doctor places, I think I got more sick. And so even though when I returned to the doctor, she was like, do you feel better? And I was like, yeah, because it just naturally goes away. I was sick in a different way then, and then I was out of school for like 3 weeks because classes were virtual anyways, so I was allowed to do that, thank God. But anyways, it didn't lead to anything. So I still have this like random shortness of breath sometimes. Other than that, I have to say that my life here has been pretty great. Here, my life is just brighter. My first year living here, I was working with the school, and that was a good year because the students were virtual. Second year, not as good. Honestly, I was very stressed a lot of the time during that year. Students were back, and I did not have the easiest students in the world. But we made it through. And I can say that unlike college, where you're just always in this college environment, you always feel like you should be studying, having time off after school was just a relief. It's great to have my free time all to myself. And now, in this past year of living here, my third year, I quit teaching. I'm working online, working from home. That has probably been the most ideal situation so far. And yes, I still get worked up about silly things that really don't matter, which is something I'm trying to work on. But the past year or so, it's just been a really happy time. And there have been so many times where I just stop to think like, wow, I'm really happy right now. Life is so good right now. I have so much to be grateful for. It's been really nice living in my own apartment, being able to just set it up the way I want. And of course, being married has been awesome. I've loved that too. It's probably played a big role. And yeah, I just feel at peace. We live in a very peaceful place. I'm kind of glad it's not right in the middle of the city, even if it is a little bit farther from some things. I have what I need here, and a lot of the times I go to the gym, I come back, and I'm just like, wow, like it's so beautiful. The weather is so nice. The sky is clear. There's a nice breeze. Just have this moment like almost every day where I'm like, life is great. Recently, I even started a new job. So right now I'm kind of balancing quite a few things. And it's brought me just to the next level. I think with my other job, I was kind of feeling like I have senioritis with it. Like I need to kind of move on from this, and I don't know if I'm making a difference. This new job has really motivated me anew and made me feel like I'm working towards something that is truly meaningful. In another video, I plan to talk about physical health. Today was just about mental health, so I will just briefly mention that. But with regards to the aspect of the study that was talking about ultra-processed food consumption, I definitely feel like in the US, there's more options to consume that sort of thing. And that's what I was doing in college. I feel like it's negatively correlated with my mental health because I would just eat all this junk, and I would feel bad about myself, and then it was just a cycle that was not good. And here, I learned to cook more than I was cooking in college, and there are less options to just buy a prepackaged meal or something like that. So I really have had to cook more, and that is, again, something I'll mention in greater detail in another video in this series. The change between college, 2019, graduating, until now in 2024 has been great. A lot of things have improved. I know it seems like I'm trashing my college experience, but I had a great time. I love my friends. They were probably the best part of my college experience. I love you if you're watching. Sometimes I have to confess that living here doesn't feel like I'm living a real life. It just feels like I'm on one extended summer break. I do plan to go back one day, but I often think about what it would look like if I just stayed here and lived here. There's a peace to living here, a simplicity. And that's part of what makes it feel like I'm not living a real life at all. Like I haven't started my life yet. Growing up in the US, there's a certain level of complexity that I expect my life to have in order to be fully an adult. But it's ridiculous. I am living a real life. Like, I'm alive, yes. I'm working a job, I'm making an income. I'm married, for heaven's sakes. Like, how much realer does it have to get? I'm in my late 20s already. So, of course, I've started my life. It's just this mindset that I have to get out of. In the US, I just feel like I need to have all these different insurances, all these different contracts and things like that, and Here I don't have all of that and I'm living perfectly fine. It just seems too good to be true sometimes. Too simple. And simplicity is something that I've really appreciated. So living here has just been a great thing for me. But will it make you happy? That's a good question. You might see the Dominican Republic here and think, wow, that's the place where I need to live. I know in previous studies that people have said Netherlands or something, it's always a European country, is the happiest country in the world. So you think, wow, I should move there, right? So should you move to the Dominican Republic? Will it make you happy if you live here? I would dare say no, but hear me out. If you think you can just change your location, move here, and then, oh, like a light switch, you're happy now, I would say that's not how it works. Your mindset goes much deeper than just your location. If you come here and bring your American ways, customs, and mindsets, then you're not really changing much at all. You have to be adaptable, you have to be observant, you have to make connections and form relationships to see how Dominicans really live and what they're really like. In many ways, you might just never get it. You might say, this is my mindset, I can't get out of it. I don't know how to see the world like a Dominican. It can be extremely hard to change the fundamental core of our cultural mindset, our cultural outlook. But by making changes here and there, even by living here and changing your outlook just a bit, you just might start to see the world more like a Dominican. Maybe, just maybe, you might feel a weight lifted off your shoulders. All the expectations and the pressure of American society, gone. But it's all dependent on you, and ultimately, no one can make you happy. No place can make you happy. It's a choice you have to make, and that's something I really believe. I also think pursuing happiness as the ultimate goal in life, might not be the best thing. Many of us, we say we want to be happy, but what else can we achieve in our lives that will help us get there? How can we find happiness on the journey and not view it as a destination point? Those are my thoughts for today. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, this is a series I'll be starting about how moving abroad changed my life. For my mental health, I would say it has improved greatly. I hope you will join me on the next ones. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Stay happy, find happiness where you are, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.